Last night, some unusual colored lights flashed in the sky. Shortly after, about 600 people experienced a power outage that lasted for 2 minutes. Duke Energy, the local electric provider, checked all the lines in the area but found no explanation for the lights or the outage. Local news stations have reached out to various experts for answers, but no one has been able to figure out what happened. The incident occurred later in the evening, around 6:55 p.m., when my house lost power. Any thoughts on what might have caused this? It's likely that a tree limb fell on a power line, causing the visible arc flash. This is a common issue in power distribution, where tree limbs or other relatively lightweight debris fall on power lines, creating a short between the phases. If the branch touches both wires, it begins to heat up, catch fire, and eventually causes an arc between the power lines. Once the arc forms, it draws a large amount of current, triggering upstream circuit reclosers to disconnect, open the faulty circuits, isolating that section of the transmission system. This action extinguishes the arc, and the flash fades away. Reclosers, as their names implies, will close the circuit repeatedly, trying to clear the fault, hoping to burn away the debris or to allow some smaller downstream fuse to pop. This can happen several times. I found this among a collection of old and rusty tools. The plier handles can be squeezed together, causing a rod or punch to extend into the head of the tool. One set screw holds a metal insert or anvil that the rod strikes, while the other set screw secures a claw over the head. Any idea what this is made for? These are pliers used for setting saw teeth. Commonly known as a saw set, bends the tips of the teeth so that the kerf is just slightly wider than the blade so that it doesn't bind. You can adjust the distance the set flares by the upper screw and fence, and the angle the blade sits at by the front screw. I bought this wooden ball roller with a clicker at an estate sale in Wisconsin, which featured a variety of farm items. The ball spins and swivels when you turn the base, which can be unscrewed. The metal piece is some sort of clicker. Interestingly, readers of the May 1988 edition of Country Living couldn't figure it out either. Any idea what it could be? This is a horse massager for click training, mainly used for racing horses, if I recall correctly. It's not really done anymore, but they would first massage the horse by hand after workouts so that it became comfortable with being touched, and then they'd introduce the massager, which can apply more pressure to large horse muscles than a human hand. Finally, they'd start making clicks while doing the massage, so that the horse associated clicks with good things happening. The idea behind it is that you'd simultaneously get the horse used to post-workout massage and also click train it. The thought was that doing this in addition to regular click training for handling would be mutually reinforcing, which, well, ended up not really being worth the extra steps, since the click training for handling had to be done anyway. The other benefit of putting a click on the massager so the horse associated the massage with being rewarded ended up being totally redundant. This is why this doesn't exist anymore. It was made to fill a niche that didn't really exist. Cool idea, though. Hold on to it, and see if you can find documentary evidence from old horse training. If you can substantiate its purpose, it'll be worth a lot of money someday. I'm not sure where it came from, but it might be from a friend who was a French teacher. It's a small metal square, roughly the size of a quarter, marked with Joan of Arc 1/2 D and stamped with the number 1048. I'm currently in Pennsylvania, but there's no guarantee that's where it originated from. Any ideas what this thing is? There was a Joan of Arc canning company in Illinois in the 1880s that used tokens. Workers were often paid in tokens based on how much goods they canned. And of course, in places, those tokens could only be redeemed in the company store. My father-in-law keeps this on his mantle because his father brought it back from World War II, but he's unsure what it really is. He once told me it was a piece of coral, although it's made of glass, and another time mentioned his father found it on the coral. It's a lump of green glass with white inclusions or spots, with both sharp and smooth edges, as though it's been shattered. Any idea what it could be and why it would be significant enough for a sailor to bring home from the war? In the 1920s in Lovell, Wyoming, a glass factory had a devastating fire. Exact dates varies depending on source and lore. What is certain is what it produced in the aftermath. The mineral wollastonite developed in the globs of glass that melted in the fire. Inclusions from spherical to octagon crystallography developed in the green-blue glass. Locals gathered the material and sold to tourists and travelers passing through. Word got to the mineral collector community, and popularity peaked because of the uncommon mechanism that caused it. Since it was overseas, I'm guessing a soldier had it as a good luck charm from home, and somewhere along the way it fell out or got lost and picked up by my grandfather. I came across this during a trip to the UK, 2 iron cones flanking a gate outside a building in Bath. However, I noticed that the entire gate, including these cones, has been recently repainted with solid black paint within the last 5 to 10 years. Does anyone know what these cones might be, or their purpose? It's a snuffer. A link boy was a boy who carried a flaming torch to light the way for pedestrians at night. Link boys were common in London in the days before the introduction of gaslighting in the early to mid-19th century. The link boy's fee was commonly 1 farthing, and the torch was often made from burning pitch and tow. I inherited this exquisite large piece. Could it be a pendant or perhaps a wall decoration? It measures 10 centimeters in length and 5 centimeters in width, with a T-bar that has a wide hole for hanging. It feels far too large for a necklace and is surprisingly heavy at 600 grams. I believe the top features a pearl, but I'm unsure about the purple stone. The animals are beautifully crafted with remarkable detail. I'm just curious to know exactly what this piece is. I think it may be Tibetan. They often wear their wealth on their clothing. This could be an ornament of that sort. At first, I thought the animals on the front looked kind of Chinese, but when I saw the mountains on the back, the style came together as Tibetan. I may be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. This is a strange container made of carved stone, consisting of 3 pieces that fit together. The previous owner spent time in both Korea and Native American territories. The container seems to consist of a lid, a bowl, and a box, all carved from stone. The lid piece has a hole that goes through it into the bowl beneath. The base measures about 5 inches by 5 inches, and it stands about 3 inches tall, weighing a few pounds. I did some image searches, and the closest matches I found were candle holders, but they didn't seem to match exactly, and none of them had the channels in the lid like this item does. Any idea what it could be?